And we're back again, doing the cosmology segment here. We're going to start by talking about things like the composition of the Earth. And let's get right into it here. So, there's an article today on phys.org about how shocked meteorites provide clues to Earth's lower mantle. Now, I disagree, as we're talking about meteorites here and the mantle. I don't really see what the connection is, but have a read on the article. As let's talk about mankind's knowledge of the Earth's mantle, much less the outer core, much less the inner core. Mankind has only drilled a few miles deep ever, and we're going to talk about it in a minute. Let me read the conclusions to the article, which, by the way, proves a whole lot of nothing. The discovery demonstrates that charge disproportionation can occur in natural high-pressure environments and therefore the deep interior of the Earth. And we're going to be talking about heavy elements in a moment, too. As, where are all those heavy elements coming from, folks? And how come there's so many light elements in deep boreholes? It's possible that when materials of the lower mantle are transported to the upper mantle by convection, there would be a loss of metallic iron, and the oxidized iron in brigmandite would cause more oxidizing conditions in the upper mantle. Our discovery provides a possible explanation for the oxidizing conditions of the Earth's upper mantle and supports the idea that deep interior processes may have contributed to the great oxygenation event on the surface. Let me just scroll down so everybody who's just viewing the video can read the article if you like. And sit back while we start to prepare for talking about the Kola deep borehole. So if you want to read the article, just pause. We'll be here when you get back. And let's move on to the that is an ass and that is a hole in the ground section, where we talk about literally a hole in the ground. Now, we've put up the article here from Popular Mechanics, citing the 7 deepest holes humanity ever dug, starting with, of course, the Kola super deep borehole, but also including other abominations like the Bingham Canyon mine in Utah, believed to be the largest excavation in the history of mankind. So have a read there, but what we're really interested in is the Kola deep borehole. Begun in Soviet Russia in the 1970s, literally in 1970, still holds the record for the deepest hole ever drilled. And let's talk about some unexpected discoveries from down there. Why is there so much water? Hot mineralized water found almost everywhere along the drill path. Now, of course, a new type of drill was invented in order to do this, as the Soviets calculated that tubing in order to run a drill that size would weigh over 1 million pounds, and since they couldn't generate enough torque to rotate that much pipe, they've invented a new mud drill, essentially. But super important is the unexpected discovery of helium, hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide from microbes all along the borehole. The temperatures didn't really match up to what was expected either. Also, there is no basalt underneath that part of the continent's granite, which was a massive surprise, as seismic data suggested at 9,000 meters granite would give way to basalt, but it didn't, at least not at that borehole. Also, there are fossils in the granite 6,700 meters below the surface. How did that happen? And anyway, check out the article here on ZME Science. This is from way back in 2015. And let's move on to more cosmologic stuff. Cosmic stuff, I should say. Here's where planets are located. There's where they'll be in 1 week. And the moon will be at a 90-degree angle between the Earth and the sun, and that doesn't matter really in any way. Here's where stuff is above my head right now, as I'm always interested in the cosmic pileup going on lately. Mars, near its apex in the ecliptic, followed by Jupiter and the Sun, and Mercury, and indeed Saturn. Check out in-the-sky.org. Set yourself up a sky chart if you like. Put in your location. Let's talk about heavy elements. If you've taken a classical astronomy class, you would have been taught and been forced to answer on questions that the heavy elements come from inside of supernovae explosions. Well, guess what? We've got new tools in the cosmic toolbox. Tools which include the transmutation of elements on the surface of stars, and indeed in the coronas of stars. Probably both. And no need for crazy, fictionally made-up mechanisms inside of stars where fusion is occurring and emitting all kinds of things that aren't the way things emit, much less absorb. Anyway, speaking of absorb, we're talking about absorption spectra here in the molecular makeup of galaxies. And this is just more confusion in the astronomic community as folks are trying to track these heavy elements to supernoval explosions, and that's not where they come from, as the sun and indeed experiments like SAPPHIRE can make the heavy elements in the surfaces and indeed in the atmospheres of coronae, I guess is the correct term. And so anyway, what we're seeing here is absorption spectra of heavy elements in places not expected. And we're talking about elements such as strontium and all kinds of various heavy elements. I don't want to give you the wrong list. At least 23 lines produced by 9 elements ranging from zinc to dysporium observed in the absorption spectra, an indication that those elements are there. And once again, standard astronomy not able to explain it. By the way, welcome to the Neo-Renaissance, and if you haven't checked out smAsho.org, check it out, smAsho.org, and go to the forum. Check out the latest subject, the most, where we're talking about the most in cosmology. Things like the strongest radio source, which is actually the sun, and the second strongest radio source, which is actually Cygnus A, a distant giant radio galaxy. How about the Crab Pulsar? How about Sagittarius A star? Would you like to talk about the closest stars? Well, we've got a list of that too. So check it out, get yourself a login, get involved, understand what Cygnus A is. Now that's not that exciting, right? It's a little bit of a distorted looking area. Okay, it's a really distorted, boxy looking area. What is that all about? Oh, that's just Cygnus A. No worries, folks. That's what it looks like invisible. That's what it looks like with the radio and X-ray imagery superimposed. Once again, visible plus X-ray and radio. Cygnus A, it's going on a shirt, the 3C405 shirt, coming out probably later this month. We'll expect to at least have one prototype to show and tease you with. By the way, let's talk about radio emissions. Microwaves. If you run your microwave empty for a few seconds, it'll probably be fine. But if you run it for about 5 minutes or so, you'll probably destroy it. Please don't run your microwave, as running a microwave with no water inside of it will cause basically a crazy interference field to build up in there, which will heat up the magnetic dynamos, which emit the radio waves, and your microwave will be destroyed. You'll probably smell burning wires. It may not be destroyed by the time it shuts down, but chances are you'll smell melted wires, which will then melt, and who knows, you could start a fire. So please don't run your microwave empty. Put something in there. And speaking of putting something in there, come check out our whiteboard. Now, we've recently put some additions up here. Now, yesterday we put up Joe Mama's solar system known as Smartron 6, which we noted here on the Blazar image. But we're not really talking about that. We're talking about the local stars. So one interesting thing is what it is that the sun is doing on the galactic scale. And we're not going to go deep into the galactic plane today. However, regarding the Milky Way galaxy, you are here. Do you see that little arrow there? I know it's probably tough to see, folks, But just head to the whiteboard. It's linked in the description to see the full-size images. Here's where stuff is within 10 light years. And basically the sun is moving away from Sirius. So kind of toward Barnard's star, away from Sirius, and at basically a 90-degree angle to the galactic center. And, well, that's not a coincidence. And again, we're not going to get super in-depth into it in this particular video. This is more of a teaser for upcoming content. But here's an image also of the local chimney. And you can see the direction of the sun away from Sirius toward Ophiuchus, the constellation Ophiuchus. I would also note that our viewers should understand the distinction between a toroid and a poloid. So when talking about motion, the poloidal motion here would be the red arrow, and the toroidal motion would be the blue arrow, and the sun is made up of both types of fields. The poloidal fields are the ones associated with the poles, and the toroidal field is some sort of a net of the interaction of those fields, which is known as the toroid. That's the field on which the planets live. Little known thing, when you look at the sun from above, this is actually what it looks like, as there's a persistent coronal hole there, as protons are constantly ejected out of the poloidal fields. And can you say electron beam? There's one coming out of and going into both poles of the sun, and that is the main reason why the gong 2 looks like this. As these objects don't just act like vacuums, they also act like fountains, whether it's the sun, the Earth, or the massive radio source at the center of the galaxy, or the center of any galaxy. We're not sure whether they're gaining or losing mass, so the idea that we've calculated their mass is just ridiculous. Anyway, come check out the whiteboard, get involved, and remember, the sun has a coronal hole on both poles that is there constantly. If you've checked us out on twitch.tv/smAsho, you may already realize that we've been live streaming the goldfish tank for I don't even know how long. But check it out. I like to be able to check on Jaws and Phelps. So I've got a live stream running there. And sound is muted right now. We ran one earlier that had some music. Again, check the links in the description if you'd like to stream or perhaps even download for the low prices some of the original tracks featured on the videos. By the way, Jaws is the white one. She's the great white. And Phelps is the guy who swims fast and eats a lot, if you know what I mean. Yes, he's named after the most decorated Olympian of all time, Michael Phelps. And he's pretty quick. Did you watch yesterday's Cosmology segment? We talked about all kinds of stuff like transients out of massive radio source 1716-24 and all sort of other stuff about the way cosmology is being rewritten. We talked about transients from Sagittarius A star and about how they're missing right around the Christmas holiday. And about the Neil Gorell Swift Observatory, where you can look at data in nearly real time for practically all of your favorite objects, such as if you're interested in things like the Vela pulsar, just hit Control-F and type Vela, and there you go. There are the transients from the Vela pulsar, which didn't shut down right around Christmas. What is up with that? Please leave a comment if you think Sagittarius A star is the Scrooge. The Scrooge. Did you watch our early video today about the exceedingly weak solar wind? Did you see the crazy magnetosphere movie that we gathered data on? Check this out. If you didn't watch our earlier video from today, perhaps check it out. Here's some of the video footage of the magnetosphere getting pummeled by magnetism. So there's me overlapping me, I think. And wait till you see the pressure portion. Check it out. It's going to be a huge geomagnetic spike here. Shields are down, and bang! Practically zero magnetohydrodynamic pressure in the bow shock. So maybe check that video out. Watch the full res version of that. And don't forget to press like and subscribe on YouTube. Please share on your other social media sites. We're also on BitChute and on Minds and on Gab and on Twitter, even on Facebook. That's facebook.com/smashomash. Please don't send us messages via Facebook Messenger, as it's one of the worst bits of spyware on the internet. Please just send us an email at smashomash@gmail.com or head to smashomash.com/forum. Or perhaps become a patron and help to support all of our various different missions in 2020, as there's a lot going on. And thanks, Smash Team, as there is no stagnation happening here. So look for possibly a third video to come out today, as there are still more stories to cover. And stay tuned for some bonus features. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got bonus features. Were you aware that Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop, which you can find at goop.com if you want to go search for their products, has been selling a candle which costs $75 and is the Smells Like My Vagina candle? I'm not kidding. I'm going to click on their website, and here's the Goop website. Now, unfortunately, it's out of stock, so if you have $75 to waste on a candle that smells like Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina, yeah, sorry, you're SOL. You're wholly out of luck. Get it? See what I did there? Wholly? You're wholly out of luck. Apparently, while talking with some scentologists, she thought it smelled like a vagina, so they decided to call it that because they thought it would be cute. Please leave a comment if you think it's idiotic. And shout out to IndigoTide.com, supplying a nice list of cosmic objects here, Messier objects and 34 solar system objects and the brightest objects, etc., as that should have some place in our cosmology forum. And before we head back to looking at images of the sun, I just wanted to note the relative size of objects in the solar system. Now you can note the sun in the background there and the relative size of things like Earth, which we typically show all on a daily basis to scale on helioviewer.org. And you can see how small even objects like Saturn and Jupiter are in comparison to the sun. Also keep in mind, there's no reasonable way to calculate the masses of these objects, especially considering the problems with gravitational accretion physics and the way cosmology needs to be completely rewritten with a completely new model from the ground up. Again, drop me a line, Dr. Robitaille. It's happening. If you want to learn about things in the solar system, perhaps check out the NASA site. I don't know what it is. solarsystem.nasa.gov. It's going to show you all kinds of stuff about the Earth. It'll talk about Bennu. It'll tell you about Jupiter. And so on and so forth. If you find anything interesting, go to smashomash.com/forum and put something in there. We've also linked today to the list of nearest stars and brown dwarfs, as that is on the whiteboard. And let's look at the past 13 hours or so of the local yellow dwarf in 94 angstroms. We'll show you the full zoomed out view with date stamps. And then we'll zoom in on sunspot 2756, which is setting over the northwest limb there. And it's about that time, folks. Thanks again for tuning into the Cosmology segment. Please let us know what your favorite military camouflage is, and we'll be coming at you with more content soon. Mwah!